Okay, our third t-test here is what we're going to call paired samples t-test. It's a comparison, gives us the ability to compare two variables that everybody in the sample responded to. So essentially are paired, and we'll refer to this as two variables. It gives a quick example here. Within a single survey, everybody who responded to it rated Starbucks and Pete's. So let's say this is the service experience at both Starbucks and Pete's on a 1 to 10 scale. 1 equals poor, 10 equals excellent. Here are the means that come out. So there are 179 people altogether. Starbucks actually has a mean that's 0.3 higher than Pete's. Right? They have here are the standard deviations and the standard deviation of the difference. All right, this turns out to be a kind of a simple extrapolation of one of the other tests we did. The research question is who's better, right? And let's say this is service experience. Hypotheses are that there's no difference. That's the null. So we're assuming a null population where there's no difference. The alternative is that there is a difference. The test is called a paired sample t-test. The significance level, again, as always, 0.05. The test statistic looks like this. Right. And it's really simple, and it's actually a nice analogy to the one sample t-test we did earlier. It's the average difference, so it's this 0.30 divided by this standard error of that difference. It's literally a test of, is that difference different than 0? So if you think about minus 0, you don't have to actually calculate minus 0 because it's going to give you the average difference. But this is a comparison of, is that difference significantly different from 0? The standard error of the estimate is taking the standard deviation of the difference between the two scores. This change, really, that's 0.30, divided by the square root of n, in this case is 179, so that gives you 0.126. Calculate the test statistic, and it is 0.3 divided by 0.126. That's it. So the t-value, t observed, is 2.38, which leads us again to compare to the null distribution, and this again literally is the distribution in the null where the difference between those two coffee shops is 0. So this distribution represents that null population. Our t observed is outside the boundaries of that null world, right? 2.38. So what do we conclude? We conclude 3 things in step 6, right? Reject the null. Starbucks experience is superior to Pete's service experience. And then the question becomes, like we talked about with regard to the finale case, well, so how significant is driving is service experience in driving patronage? And if it's really important, and of course it probably is, how does Pete's improve? And it involves breaking down all the dimensions of service, but it may be somewhat alarming that Pete's is perceived to have a significantly lower score than Starbucks. So that's the third of our 3 tests. We did the one mean t-test, right? One sample mean. We did the independent samples t-test comparing 2 groups, and we just did the paired samples t-test. With the coffee example, that was as we laid out, consumption of our sample versus the national average, men versus women here, and Starbucks versus Pete's here. These are 3 distinct tests. What we'll do with the survey on the spot data is within the workshop we're going to go through each of these and how you actually execute them with SPSS. And then, as you know, in the application assignment, these are the questions that correspond to those tests. So there you go. We'll see you soon.